Now let's turn from the Byzantine Empire to some of its neighbors in what is now Central and Eastern Europe. During the late Roman Empire of the 4th and 5th centuries CE, both the empire's western and eastern halves were buffeted with wave after wave of migrations and invasions by nomadic peoples who came from what are now Germany, the Netherlands, and Scandinavia. Some of these peoples, like the Goths and the Vandals, settled in Italy, North Africa, and Spain. The people now known as Vikings, who are called Varangians in Byzantine historical accounts, arrived in Europe in the 9th and 10th centuries and settled in Britain, France, and the Slavic lands now occupied by Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. Though the Varangians came to Byzantium as paid soldiers, in the 9th century they were invited by the East Slavs, who lived between the Baltic and Black Seas, to serve as their rulers. According to their own tradition, the Slavs asked the Varangians to govern them because at the time they consisted of a number of warring tribes which were unable to govern themselves. The resulting state, which may have been more of a conglomeration of peoples than a nation in the modern sense, came to be known as Kievan Rus, because the Varangians made the city of Kiev the central point of their territory shortly after they arrived in the region. Though there is some debate as to whether the Rus people were Slavs ruled by Scandinavians or were Scandinavians themselves, our sources, admittedly written centuries later, suggest that they were Norsemen whose culture had taken on a Slavic coloring almost from the start. Until their conversion to Orthodox Christianity in the 9th and 10th centuries, they worshipped Slavic gods, and the Cyrillic alphabet, which was created for them in the 9th century by Byzantine missionaries, was designed to fit the Slavonic language. The Rus state was founded in the 860s by Rurik, a Varangian knyaz, or prince, the title used by chiefs of the Rus, who began to rule the city of Novgorod. It was then expanded by his successor Oleg, who captured and moved the city of Kiev farther to the south, and built a number of forts to maintain control along his territory's trade routes. The Rus first appeared in Byzantine sources in the year 860, when they attacked the outskirts of Constantinople in retaliation for the empire's decision to help their enemies, the Khazars, a Turkic people whose territory lay to the southeast of Rus, by building a fortress which gave the Khazars control of a trade route that the Rus had also been using. As the Byzantine army was busy fighting the Muslim forces to the east, the Rus were able to inflict a lot of damage. After this attack, the Byzantine scholar Photius, who was at the time the Patriarch of the Orthodox Church, sent missionaries to both the Rus and the Slavs of Eastern Europe, with the goal of converting their inhabitants and giving them a system of writing and a legal code. By 874, the Rus had their own archbishop. According to the 12th century Primary Chronicle, which is our main Russian source for this period, another conflict took place in 907 when Prince Oleg attacked and threatened Constantinople, with the result that the two powers signed a treaty. This agreement spelled out the rights and obligations of the Varangian merchants who were allowed to settle in the city, and it was followed in 911 by a more detailed treaty which included laws that would govern any offenses that might be committed by the Varangians or by the crews of their ships while they were in Byzantine waters. The Rus established trade routes that led mainly to the Byzantine Empire in the south, along the Dnieper River, to Scandinavia and the Khazar Kingdom along the Volga River, and to the Muslim world by way of the Caspian Sea. Their exports included furs, jewelry, and slaves taken from their enemies. The economic and military competition between the Rus and the Khazars grew more intense during the 9th and 10th centuries, when the Magyars, who had lived between the two groups and helped to separate them from one another, migrated westward to what would soon become Hungary. This encouraged the Rus to expand in the direction of Khazar territory, near the Caspian Sea to the east. There was also a close but complicated relationship between the Rus, the Byzantines, and the Pechenegs, a Turkic people who lived in the territory between the two powers. Though the three groups were trade partners and often allies, they sometimes formed military pacts against one another. In 941, another Rus attack against Constantinople was launched by Oleg's successor Igor, who brought a large fleet of ships with him, but this time the empire was more successful in repelling them. Igor returned in 944 with a larger force composed of Russians, Bulgarians, and Pechenegs. The empire was able to buy them off with gifts, and in the following year it signed a treaty with the representatives of the Rus and the Bulgarians, which made more stringent demands on the Rus merchants than the previous treaties had. It also required their ships to receive written authorization from Constantinople before entering the empire's waters, or face being confiscated by the Byzantine navy. After Igor was killed in 945 by the members of a Slavic tribe from whom he was trying to collect extra tribute, his wife Olga took his place as the Kievan ruler because their son Sviatoslav was still a small child. She held power for 15 years, during which she led a military campaign against the Slavs, who had murdered her husband, while declining offers of marriage from other rulers, including the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII. Olga also established a number of trading posts in the territory her predecessors had conquered, which became political centers as well. After converting to Orthodox Christianity in 957, she built a number of churches. She also managed to convince Sviatoslav, who refused to join her new faith, not to persecute any Rus who did. In 959, she sent a delegation to the German Otto I, the Holy Roman Emperor, to ask him to send Catholic clergymen to serve in her country, though Sviatoslav, who had since become prince, sent them back to Europe. During the 960s, Sviatoslav defeated and dismantled the Khazar Empire, destroying several of its cities, including the capital of Atil. He also occupied the northern part of Bulgaria with the help of the Byzantines. But in 969, after a new emperor demanded that he withdraw, Sviatoslav crossed the Balkans with the intention of attacking Byzantine territory. He was pushed back, and after the Rus lost a large battle to the Byzantine army in 971, they agreed to leave Bulgaria to the empire and never attack it again. Despite this loss, it was during the reign of Sviatoslav that the Kievan state reached its greatest territorial extent. In the next tutorial, we'll see how Rus became something closer to a European kingdom under the leadership of its most famous ruler, Vladimir the Great.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. Support me on Patreon so I can keep making content. And as always, feel free to email me, ProfessorDaveExplains@gmail.com.